Well, picking this back up here, I was able to bring the jet ski up here and we put it in across the lake and started it up, and it wasn't running real well, so I brought it over, and I'm glad it wasn't. And this blue hose right in there, that's where the water comes from the jet pump. I didn't have it hooked up, so it filled the whole bottom full of water. So I was able to get that fixed, and then it idle, but it wouldn't run without me putting the primer on it. And then I found the primer leaked, and so it was almost like it wasn't getting fuel, so I put more fuel in it, and that seemed to help a little bit. But I ended up getting 2 carburetor rebuild kits for the carburetor. So what I'm going to do now is try not to drop anything in the lake and pull the carbs off, and then I'm going to take them home, tear them completely apart, and rebuild them all, because there's diaphragms. I didn't have any of the rubber parts, and if any of that has a pinhole in it, it'd run probably how it did. It wouldn't really run until I primed it, and when I primed it, fuel came out, like I said, so it's sucking air there. I did get a new primer, and then I was going to do a compression test, and I forgot the damn compression thing. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, try to get those carbs off here and bring them home. Well, about an hour later, I got the carbs off. So I'm going to bring those home and we'll tear them apart. Well, I got the carbs here in the garage, and I got my Mikuni rebuild kit. I got 2 of them, and so I've got one with all the parts laid out here and the diagram. Got my parts there, so I'm going to do these one at a time and take these apart. One thing that I do, I think I'm probably just going to end up taking these apart and seeing what components I got. I do have a ultrasonic cleaner coming Friday, and so thought I'd throw this in there and let it take a dip, see what it does to it. But I'm going to go ahead and take these apart and see what it looks like. And so again, the reason I'm taking these apart is because when I was running it, it wouldn't run unless I primed it, and it would idle but not very well. And then if I primed it, it would take off and run. And then running flat out, it didn't feel like it was running the way it should be, or that it had before. When this was all brand new, it ran like a banshee. So I think everything's adjusted right. It's just something in there's like some of these components, gosh, we're 23 years old now. So, you know, if something's wore out and it's not pumping right, I'm not getting the gas. So I'm going to take this completely back apart, throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner, put it back together, and hopefully that's what it is. Well, I got everything completely disassembled. I even took the needles out and wrote down for the high and the low what they were. But these are kind of my old parts. These are the new parts for these carbs. I'm going to go ahead and leave them together when I get this all cleaned out. That way I put everything back. I guess I'm getting all new parts in it, so it doesn't matter, but I'm just going to keep them together like this. So you got to check this out. I got a digital microscope so that I can see. So I was looking at this jet and I couldn't see through it very well. So I put it in my scope and I can't do this with 2 hands. Hold on a second. There we go. So I couldn't see it in there, but check that out. that's why it was plugged up. It's crazy that how small that is. So the other one, the other jet, it's pretty clean. So that's clean in there. You can see through it. And in the other little one as well. You can see through there, but that explained the idle. So I'll get that guy cleaned out. So I got it cleaned out so you can see. You know, it's hard to see. It's about how my eyes work. I can't, if I pull it up close, I can't see anymore. Let's see, you can't hardly even see it here, but you can clearly tell. There was another piece as well that was down on the tweezers. Looks like some of this paint on here, it was trying to suck it through. So we'll get all this stuff cleaned up. I'm assuming some of these other things have that in there as well. Well, after sticking it on the cartridge, filling it up with water, plugging it in, I couldn't get it to turn on. So I tried something else in the outlet, and I found out on the very back of here, there's a switch. So turn it on. But what you've got here is you can adjust the temperature. I put hot water in it. So I guess you can turn the heater on and off. And then this is your time. So what I'm gonna do is, I think I'm gonna put some of these parts in a plastic bag and put the simple green in it and throw it in there and see what it does. So what I did was put all of the jets and components in here and just poured pure simple green in. And what you can do then is just throw this in and turn it on. So I pulled the parts out of, for the carb, and the bag was relatively clean, but you can see all the parts here. They were pretty clean to begin with, but they're all like super clean now, and you can, everything's cleaned up and ready to go. I think my biggest thing is there might be a couple clogs in there. I'm not real sure. I want to get them soaked and blow it out. But this guy, you can see it was filthy. So I'm gonna pull those out, see how much better they look. All right, so what I found almost perfect size is a crock pot bag. And so I'm able to stick the whole thing inside of here. And so what I'm gonna do is put a little bit of water and a little bit of simple green in there. I just don't think I have enough. And then I'm gonna throw it in there. Glad I got the bigger one, just sits right in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and maybe fill this half and half for a little bit higher potency and get it set in. All right, so I got the carbs inside the water, got the bag in there. So now I'm glad, you know, I could put something really huge in there that I'm not spending, it's not like I had to put 3 gallons of parts washer in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that on for 15 or 20 minutes and see how she goes. So I pulled them out and they look great. They didn't look bad before, but there's like no dirt, anything on here anywhere. These suckers are like really, really, really clean. Now I've got a super big mess. I'm gonna work on trying to get some of this stuff put back together. Well, trouble in paradise. Came down here and fired it up and it ran. Seemed okay and started to rev out a little bit and then lost it. I've got a primer so I can get gas straight into the carbs and still nothing. So I pulled the plugs and there's there's spark, but it's very, very low. So I'm gonna pull the front off of it. I might end up pulling the whole motor and see if there's something wrong with the stator in the coil. Like I said, there is spark. I don't know if it's at the right spot, and it looks, I can hardly see it. I would think that you'd want it more than that, so I'm ripping it apart. So I brought my engine back here, set it up, pulled this off. I'm wanting to pull the flywheel, but it's not a standard flywheel puller, so I'm gonna have to get that. And then I need to also look at the regulator and also this coil, make sure they're the right stuff. I do have the original coil. It's right here, and I got another regulator right here, but I think it was some Taiwan thing that didn't match. So I'm gonna try to pull this off and see what it looks like underneath. All right, so I changed the spring out, and it's got a lot less tension in it, so that should help it with the pop off. I had some different options here. And then this is the jets. So the little one looks like a 65, and then the big one looks like 107.5. I think that's way off from what the guys on the forum told me. I'm gonna check. Well guys, I got my flywheel puller in. This is a massive piece of metal. It probably weighs 3 pounds. And then I got bolts. So what I'm gonna do is come over here and see if I can get the flywheel off. This basically, I got the bolts up there. It basically kind of matches up. See if we can do it there. Matches up, and then screw it in and pull that off. I want to look at the stator and everything. I'm hoping it's all rusty. Well, I just popped it off, and she's clean as a pin. I guess that's good. I still can take an ohm reading and see if it's good. I have spark. It is just so faint I can hardly see it. So we'll go on to the next one. Well, I guess I'm glad I pulled this off of here, because I thought I was going to try to figure out the timing of this, but the see how it's got the pin in there? It's broke too. It's sheared off. So I think it spun around, which would be, that would explain why I have spark, but it doesn't run right, or not at all. So this looks chipped up here too. So I guess even though this is clean, there's not I didn't see any parts. I don't know. Well, at any rate, I'm gonna do an ohm check. That doesn't look good either. Finding all kinds of shit in here. I'm gonna do an ohm check and get the manual out and try to, I'm gonna have to get that pin, pop that out, and that might be my problem. I mean, I did have spark, but it was weak. I'm still gonna go ahead and check the coil. That would have been the reason. God. Yeah, I need to check. I have another rectifier, but the wires are different colors, and I got this coil too. So Not one thing, it's another. The other thing that I did get is the, I got new springs. So these carbs are different than a float. I guess there's suction and then it pulls in here, so there's different weighted springs. So I asked on the forum, and whatever gram they wanted or recommended I bought, because I have no idea what these are. I just got springs. And then the little jet is a 65, which they recommended, and the top one they said 115, and this in here is a 107.5, so that would be really lean. So I'll fix this. I'll still look at all of that stuff. We'll get the right weight of pin. We'll get the right low speed jet, high speed jet, and maybe this thing will run. Okay, so I got my parts. For the price of one Woodruff key, I could get a set. Well, a little bit, twice as much. And then I found a company that has these Mikuni parts, and so they're like $2 a piece, and it was $15 to ship it. So I got the right size springs for the carb, and a couple different size jets in case I needed them. And then I'm gonna need to change this rectifier out, regulator out, and keep this, and then put the flywheel back on and see if we get spark. Well, I got the carbs put back together. I got the, they had recommended 95 gram springs, so I put those in there. The 65 low jet, the 115 high jet, and then on the high out 3/4, which I just did, and the low 1.5, which I just did. So hopefully those are good. So now what I got to do is find the pin and then put that back on there. I've got the manual so I can get the torque T3 69 foot-pounds. So I'll get that on there once I get the right shear pin and put that back together. And then what I got to do is pull this apart and put it back in. And I've also got the right wiring diagram. So I'm going to redo everything. I do have the battery sitting over here. I charged it up, and I may see, what I'd like to do is turn it over and see if I have a lot more spark. That'd make me feel better before I hauled it all the way up. So I'm gonna get the flywheel on and then change out the rectifier, and then we'll see if we got spark. All right, so I've wired all this up, and I found one of these wires was bad in here, and part of the reason why I wanted to do this, but I've got my stuff up here, my battery hooked up, and I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but I have really good spark now. So going to unhook all this, and I think we're ready to throw her back in the Jetski. Well guys, if you made it this far, thank you. I don't know what the heck that was, it just flew through here. But in summary, I've got the carbs all cleaned out. I've got the right weighted spring for the float pop off. I've got the right low speed jet, which is a 65, the right high speed, which is a 115. I've got the right jet settings. Took this off and found that pin had been sheared. So got that back on, found the stator's good. Did an ohm check on the stator, it was fine. I did an ohm check on the regulator, and it was not, and replaced it. The coil was good, and put it all together last night and it didn't work. and found out, yeah, you guys don't care, but found out one of these wires was bad. So I rewired it, put it together, and I have super spark now. So I got a charged battery, good motor. And so what I'm gonna do is take all this stuff and throw it in the Jetski and see if she works and rips and get it tuned up and ready to go. What I'm trying to do is get this running perfectly and then put it up for sale. And what I'd like to do then is get another toy in here and rip it apart and put it back together. If I can get this going and get it sold, I'd like to get a vapor blaster and I'll get another toy in here. But I'm gonna end this video here. It's getting long anyway, and post it. So stay tuned. If I can go up this weekend and get her ripping, I'll put another video up of that. And if you guys are interested in the ski, let me know. Open to any offers. Like to sell it so I can get another toy in here. I've had it for 25 years. I think I've spent like $6,000 or $8,000 on this motor. I know it's not even worth a third of that, so nobody hurt my feelings. But thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one. And that's it right there. It's a butterfly. And yeah, hit like and subscribe. I'm trying to grow this channel, and appreciate it.